Welcome learner. My name is Shibaji Debnath. In this tutorial, I talk about Get Clean Architecture. This is actually Get CLI means command line interface where we can execute the commands into the command line interface. And last time I already create a basic app using get command, but this time I will be use this command actually, and also I will be create a clean architecture because get CLI have two kind of architecture here. One is the GetX pattern and another was clean architecture. Okay, so GetX pattern is the basic pattern of GetX CLI, but clean architecture is more professional structure, and if you want to build a bigger professional level software using GetX, so that time you can use clean architecture. So how it work and how can create the process. So let's start. I am already open Visual Studio Code and Android Studio, and this is my terminal. And now here we can create first Flutter project. So if we create a Flutter project, so for that purpose we can use basic Flutter command create project name. So this is actually project name I'm using here, clean app. So this is actually very basic application structure are created. So this is actually very basic Flutter application structure are created. So here is the very basic simple things are initiated. So right now I need to be implement, actually I need to be set up GetX package, GetX package and GetX clean architecture in this application structure. Okay, so how can I implement that? So if I want to create clean architecture with GetX CLI, so that time we need to move GetX clean app folder, and after then we can create the structure. Okay, so now we can go to the app structure. So this is actually app folder or app structure, and after then we need to be initiate the get and using get command, and after then we can use the init command after using this. So that means here when we are using this command, so after then GetX CLI dependencies will be added automatically, and also here we can create the architecture using the command line interface. Okay, so both are uses very easily when we are using it through command line. Okay, so now I just use it get space init, this is the command, and now I don't need to use getX pattern. So right now I will be use clean architecture of this pattern, and for this purpose I choose the clean, and after then command line interface asking I process, actually I want to process it or not. So yes, I want to proceed. So if I proceed, so then the architecture already created. Okay, so this is actually architecture already created. And also if I visit to pubspec yml, so then here getx command line interface already included here. Okay, and also pubspec yml is rewritten. Okay, so this is actually the main process of changing the application structure. Now here after initiate like this, you may get this kind of problem. This is actually testing tool. If you want to test your applications through test widget tool, so that time you can use the this file structure, but right now I just handle it quickly. Okay, so error is gone. Now this is our basic application structure, and this application structure starts from routes section. So this is the route section, and these route sections are connected from infrastructure folder, and after then you can got the navigation folder, and navigation folder have two files. One is the navigation, another is the routes. So navigations have actually page register options, where you can register your all the routes in this section, because when we are create the routes section, so that time we need to be use routes name, screen name, which is the page name, and another was will be home controller binding. These three things is actually required when we are initiate any get page. So this get page actually pull the a proper architecture, proper MVC architecture, where we can manage the data state and view part using this widget. Okay, so home screen actually comes from presentation layer, and this is the actually home, and here have home dot screen dot dot. Actually this is actually connected up from here. Okay, and this here have also controller, and this controller actually directly called here, but when we are binding the data with the route section, actually navigation section, so this is the data binding options, and these data binding options are actually available here in this part. So home binding, so this is the actually home binding area, and this home binding area, this is the actually controller area, and these controllers have some unique purpose. Mainly if you have any data calling from the controller, so that time this controller will be initiated, otherwise this controller not be initiated for the optimizations purpose mainly. Okay, so for this purpose, here using lazy put actually optimize the memory. It's required, then it initialized. If not required, then it is not initialized in the memory. Okay, so this is actually basic structure, and in the domain section nothing have nothing here, and this is the dull section. Dull means data abstraction layer, and here we can use DAOs means document access objects actually. So for that purpose this folder name is DAOs, and services, where we can connect it and the data pooling options from the server URL link, so that time we can use the services. Actually these services we can call it another name as a provider. So this is actually two folder we can manage in our application structure, and we can create it, create this kind of file manual process, and also we can use it with command line interface. But a command line interface, if we are using, then our process will be sometime easy. Okay, so this is actually basic application structure. This is everything is the basic application structure, and if you want to create your applications theme, so that time you can create various kind of theme files, and you can use that themes into the main file, because here we can initiate the theme options. So this is actually theme option, and here we can initiate the theme here. Okay, so here I have different kind of theme data we can be used, and here I have two kind of theme actually available here. One is the normal theme and another is the dark theme. So two kind of theme mainly we can initiate, and after then if you want to manage the theme day and night mode, so I will be discuss it later. But currently I try to explain the structure of the clean architecture of the application, and right now I start the applications in the emulator. Let's see what will we see from the application. Okay, so this is actually basic home screen, and this home screen is working, this text actually coming from the home screen widget, and here is the data which is the displaying here. Okay, so here we are getting some suggestions. So here actually use the suggestions for const keyword, and if you are used, so after then you cannot see any suggestions online, and if you are not used, so then you can be see that this kind of line. But if you are used, so after then some dynamic data if you are implementing here, so that time you may got some problem. So what kind of problem you will be faced, I will be discuss it later. Okay, so this is actually a process if you want to remove this error line. So this is actually home screen. So this is actually called clean app. Actually I just use app name is a clean app, and this is actually basic application, and after saving we are getting the output. Okay, so this is actually basic app structure. But if we want to create another screen in this application, so how can create, because this is actually home screen and I want to create another screen like about screen, setting screen, contact screen. So many screen maybe is required in the application. So at this moment you can use get create screen screen. Actually here is the command. If you are using getX pattern, so that time you can use page command, and if you are using clean architecture, so that time you can use the screen. Okay, so this is actually create and screen, and now I can use, actually I want to use here about screen. Okay, so this is the about. So this is the about folder and this about screen are already here. Okay, so this is actually about screen. So like this we can create another screen like contact screen, about screen, or settings. So this is actually settings. So these three kind of screens are created here. Okay, and when we are created this all screens, so this all screen are registered in the main path. Actually this path are connected with the another module. So for that purpose this is the actually register file of the substructure folder. After then we can use the button here. Okay, so these three screen already created here, and now I want to implement data interactions. We need to move one screen to another screen. So how can create that? So for that purpose we can use the screen section, and after then here we can use the column section here. And when we are using the column section, so after then this const keyword cannot be used here, because for this purpose we are getting the error. Okay, so after removing const syntax resolve the error problem mainly. So now we can use the elevated button, and this elevated button actually is a new widget of the Flutter 3 version. So this Flutter 3 version we can use the elevated button, and this elevated button have we can use three button, like we can use about screen. Actually we want to move to about screen, so go to about screen, and also about screen and setting screen. Okay, so these two buttons are already using here, and after this we can use the main axis alignment. This main axis alignment actually give us to align the centering our application structure. Okay, so when we are clicking these buttons, so after clicking these buttons we can view the another screens. Okay, so how can do that? Okay, when we are created the screens using command line interface, so that time automatically that screens are registered with the bindings, and these navigation sections already have two another pages. Okay, So like here already registered about page and settings page. Okay, so this two pages already registered, and this is the routes section where we are already getting the routes name here. Okay, so now we are already using the application's name here, and right now I want to navigate the another screen. So for that purpose we can use the get is the main package name, and after then we can use the page name or screen name after clicking this part. So right now we can use the about for the about screen, and we can use it settings. And if we are used normal navigation section, so that time we need to be initiate the context object into the variable section. But if we are using this kind of variables, so that time we did not require any context variable here, and our page moving options may be working. So it's not working. Why not? Let's see. So this is the actually navigation section, and these route sections are actually here. So this is actually a name where we can use the navigation section. So right now I just refreshed it, and after that I clicking here and next screen is coming. Okay, so it's working fine right now. Okay, so when we are getting this kind of problem, so that time after using this, actually we need to be refreshed the application, and after then the app structure are reinitiated, because this all of the bindings are fully updated in the emulator app, and after then we can get the another screens when we are clicking the screen section. Okay, so this is actually basic things, and now we are implemented here all the const modifier everywhere. So if we are using the const modifier everywhere, so blue suggestions box are gone. And now if we are go to the about screen, so this time we can use the some state things. State things means I want to implement some counter setup. Actually count, we want to use some counter state using the app screen, app controller like. So this is a actually count object already here, and this count object actually 0 dot obs means this is actually observable object. And when you are using the observable object, so that time if you want to implement the value, so you cannot directly implement your value like this. If you want to implement the observable value, so that time you can use it like this. It is actually correct way to implement the value for increment. And if you want to use, if you want to use decrement, so decrement, and this decrement value will be like this. So this is the actually two methods I am actually using here currently, and this data we will be use in the screen section. So for that purpose we go to the screen section, and now here I am modifying the widget sections, and this is actually modified, and we get the some error line, and for that purpose we just remove the const syntax from here. And after then we can use the, this is the about screen, and we can also use another text, and this is the actually I can use the counter value, and we can use the counter value like this. So if we want to using the counter value, so that time you can use dollar sign in between the string syntax, because this is actually string syntax. And if you want to interpolate your variable, so that time you can use dollar curly brace, and after that you can use the controller. This controller actually comes from the this widget. If we are visit this widget, for that purpose you can over of this widget, and if you click the control button of your laptop screen, after then it will be highlighted, and after then you can visit the widget section. And this is the actually widget library sections, and here is the controller initialization option where the controller already initialized automatically, and here controller is the object. This controller object are calling here, actually this controller object calling here, and after calling this controller object, here have some variable which is the count, and this count variable are already here. Okay, so this is actually basic things when we can use it. Actually my application is Visual Studio Code is hang right now, so now I just stop the Visual Studio Code and restart the applications. Now our applications is properly closed, and now the problem was memory overflow. Maybe you got this kind of problem when you are implementing your app using GetX. So if you face this kind of problem, so that time you need to be closed your Visual Studio Code application completely, and also you need to be close your applications from the emulator, and after then you can reinitiate your applications, and then you get the proper screen which is actually required to see. So this is actually part which actually I am implemented before, so that implementations is not here, so now it need to be redesigned for this section. So quickly I created. After then we need to be implement the increment or decrement object. So for that purpose we can use the row widget, and this row widget we can use the button. So here we can use the elevated button. One is the increment, so text are used, and here we can use increment. We can use another button which is called decrement. Decrement. Here we can use the main axis alignment. This is actually main axis alignment. Main axis alignment means for the rows this is actually main axis alignment, and for the column this is actually main axis alignment. So this is actually reverse of the as per widget. So and now we want to centerize the widget, so this is actually center for the horizontally, and if you we want to vertically center through the column widget, so this time we can use the main axis alignment, and this main axis alignment we can use it center. So if we are clicking here, so that time this value will be incremented here, and if you want to decrement the value from here, so that time you can use it as a decrement. Okay, we already initiate the all the view part, so now we want to use the controller here, and after using the controller we can use the increment function here. So this is actually increment function, and here also we can use the controller class, and we can use the decrement functions here. Okay, so if we are using the increment functions here, but value not be changes here. Why? Because the widget is the stateless widget, and this stateless widget cannot be changed any value as per Flutter rule. If you want to observe the value, so that time you can use the widget which called obx widget, and this obx widget can be help you to observe the value. So if you use this widget, and after then you can use it like this, and after using this you already observe the value. Okay, and if we are clicking the increment section, so that time we can implement the counter value, and if you are decrement the button, so that time we can get the decrement value like this. Okay, this is the actually basic uses of the state management part using GetX CLI, and this is the very simplest way to manage the states in the application using GetX, and it is so much easy if you are using for the developing your applications, so it's too much easy. So this is actually my tutorial of this part, and I will be discuss lots of things next parts of video. And if you like my video, so hit the like button and share this video with your friend and family who are interested in this kind of learnings. And if you are new in my YouTube channel, so definitely subscribe my YouTube channel and hit the notification bell icon for the future updates.